Veni, Vini, Amari.
We came, we saw, we loved.
Welcome to the Partnership Vision Podcast,
where we discuss how to have a relationship full of unity, trust, fun, and fulfillment.
We'll be sharing the rewards of preparing yourself for your best partner and being your best for them.
I like everything about you. Everything about you.
And in every part of my life, there was at least 2 or 3 people that were after me, trying to tear me down for whatever reason. Adults and teenagers my age at that time or whatever, they targeted me. It was like bullies of all sorts of sizes and shapes. But a huge part of this whole cognitive quandary really was because of my captor. He was the fortress built on top of all that pre-made foundation. All that pre-made foundation set me up for his cunningness and cleverness and demonic nature. Some of the mind-controlling games he'd do is purposely do something to hurt me, make it look like something else, act like he wanted me to be happy even though he didn't want me to be happy. And a lot of the time, make it out to be that it was me causing it or being the problem.
And that's gaslighting, when you are bending and warping and telling somebody that what they can clearly see with their own eyes, what they can clearly interpret with their own minds is actually wrong, and you're giving them the opposite of the real story of what happened when they were involved, when they saw it themselves. And like, no, you were just doing this over here at the time, and you didn't realize that this is what really happened. And you're trying to rewrite history for them, trying to just make them believe that they're crazy. They're the ones who are crazy, and it wasn't really anything like they're saying. That's gaslighting.
He wanted to keep me in an inferior and mentally insecure state to maintain his dominance over me, so I do whatever he said. So I've had to fight through a cognitive barrier of confusion and double-mindedness while trying to get a grip on reality for a few years now. Because I lived with him for 2.5, closer to 3 years, and then another 2.5 to 3 years of still being under his influence, and even from a distance, he would use technology. He would blow up my phone, and if I didn't answer on the first ring, he'd flip out on me, or he'd create situations that would put me in a very compromised state of mind and make me hysterical and then hang up on me. He was relentless. It didn't matter if I was physically with him or miles away. It did not matter. And the fact that I couldn't reach him really was even a stronger tool in his tool belt, because I was even more powerless. So it's taken a couple of years now to filter through a lot, and God has brought me through it all. I couldn't have made it without him. I'm still getting revelations even today. I figured something out why I had a certain fear, and come to find out it was actually from the guy I was dating who was related to my captor at the time. His parents actually planted a seed of a fear that was then capitalized on, that I would never have thought of in my life. Even through any kind of legit worries or anxieties about something or someone, I wouldn't have taken it that far on my own. And so God is still revealing different things to me when in its due time, and I'm handling it and being responsible and giving it to him each time he reveals something to me through a situation.
Which brings out the fact that it's a process as we're unlearning the wrong things and learning new things that are right, and in some cases having to relearn because we have forgotten, we've lost the correct lesson. We got maybe we got jaded, maybe we got hurt by something that happened, and so we took the wrong message from it. I was wrong about all this, and this is the reality. This is what things are really like. This is what all women are really like, or what all men are really like. And we have to, at some point, recognize that we've learned the wrong lesson. We're believing something false, and we have to go back and relearn the truth. That there's like, just in this instance, there's always still good people out there, even if there are bad people too. There's bad people in every bunch, and there's good people in every bunch, and it's like the ability to not just take one extreme as a self-defense mechanism and just believe that thing. We have to be able to relearn, unlearn, and learn fresh and new things to be able to set ourselves free from that. And it's a process. It's a learning process.
And that's another thing that was stacked against me while I was still underneath his influence, was that I didn't have a group of friends. I never really had a group of friends going through school, and I didn't have any activities outside of school other than church and grocery runs. So I didn't have my own group to run to. All I had was him and his group, and his group totally backed him up, and he's got them all totally won over, and they worship him. It's very culty. I've had to fight through this cognitive barrier, all because for years he created situations, gaslighted the blame on me, and then acted like the savior to deliver me out of it. He manipulated me to become codependent for survival. His word became gospel because he conditioned me to blindly follow what his directions were. And in fact, one of the many phrases he used on me repetitively was, "Well, if you don't trust me, I will give you a reason not to trust me."
That's displacement, like you're the one that's at fault. You're the one that's to blame, Well, if I'm the bad guy, well, then I guess I'm just going to go and be the bad guy. When the reality is, you're the one whose behavior is prompting the confrontation. You're the one whose actions are requiring some kind of confrontation. And the conflict is from you. The conflict is from what you're doing. You have proven your lack of trustworthiness. You have proven your behavior. And now you're saying that the blame of future behavior is going to be because of this accusation against you and because of, this claim made against you. And so it's really just a sort of conversational terrorist tactic. It's holding the other person hostage to just, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean," making them back down and not, realize and see it for what it is. Like, no, you're just refusing to admit that you are wrong. You're refusing to admit, and call a spade of what you really did and what's really going on. It's deceptive and manipulative. And that's something you got to watch out for, and something that it can take a lot of time when you get under that kind of influence to really deprogram yourself and get to the point where it doesn't have the same effect on you when people use it anymore, because that's not a new thing. There are many people that use that.
And that's just one of the many tactics. I mean, I've got plenty to spare to tell you about in future episodes, but that's one that applies here, and there might be more I might include in this series. But words are very dangerous when they're used improperly. And it doesn't take something physical to hold somebody captive. You don't have to be chained up to be a slave. And just because that person that might have been victimized has a really good mind, and they're very smart, and they're well educated, and it doesn't matter if they don't have a strong foundation of thinking for themselves and making their own decisions, being independent. Those two things, if you don't have both of those, you're set up. And the more you're brought down in what you really don't have confidence in, you don't have any self-confidence. I didn't have self-esteem because of the many things that I had been through, even when those people in my upbringing and throughout high school weren't around me. Because of the repeated actions and words used against me, I end up doing the job for them when they weren't around. And you can't get away from your own mind. It follows you everywhere. So it's important to have that strong foundation, to have a relationship with God ASAP. If you don't right now, I would say check into it. And that's putting it more comically, but really be open-minded to it and do your own research and think for yourself. But definitely don't be closed-minded to it because of any kind of hatred that others have for it, or maybe somebody that claimed to be Christian hurt you in a very bad way, and so other Christians must be the same way, and Christianity is this and that and that. Well, that's that person. And it just kind of like Joyce Meyer says, if you go and sit in your garage for a day, does that make you a car? That doesn't make you a car. If a person goes and sits in church and doesn't do anything with it and doesn't actually follow Christ, that doesn't make them a Christian. That's a title. That's a label. Just like somebody saying, "Oh, well, I'm emo. I'm a scene person." You know, no. Christian should never be used as a label, but it is by a lot of people, and that's wrong. So I really encourage you, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, and if you've had very strong feelings, or even just regular feelings against it, do your own research. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to ask anybody any questions unless you're ready for that. But do your own research for real. It'll save you from a lot of things. But back to our main point here. In contrast to what I just talked about, lately especially, I've been able to flip that switch by choice. And it's a definite God thing because this has been an area of struggle for a long time. So for example, I'll be sleepy for the first couple of hours of the day before our workout, and then come into our workout room when we're about to start, and as I'm opening the door, I've been able to up my mood to excitement, even to a level that has really caught Sean by a big surprise. And cool thing is, that energy is contagious. He'll start laughing and go from feeling how I was originally and ready to work out himself. And it's a great dynamic of how we affect those around us with what we say, our body language, and the presence we bring. If we choose our mindset wisely, we won't be the only ones that are better off. It's still the other person's choice to ride that energy wave, but you still did your part, and you feel better for it, and are being a light instead of a storm cloud.
Yeah, being spontaneous is one of the great ways of a good attitude modification, that sometimes, just the ordinary grind and just, I'm tired, you're tired. Yeah, so that's what I expect, is for you to come in tired. But you come in, let's do this. Like, whoa, what's going on here? The surprise catches you off guard. It shifts your energy. And even if you're just even kind of feeling grumpy, like, I don't want to do this, it kind of changes you, it flips a switch where you're like, what the heck? And so you're trying to figure out what's going on. And so next thing you know, it's just like, okay, well, I guess let's get to this. So it can be very effective to be spontaneous, add some spontaneity to your day, add some spontaneity to your behavior with those around you. It can make a really big difference. It can actually shift the entire day.
And you can have a go song, quote unquote. And that's a song that you play every time you're not motivated and are tempted to put things off or just be grouchy for the rest of the day. And the more times you do it, it'll then start to cognitively trigger a more motivated response. Again, that's putting your mind against itself in a positive way. And then you run with that momentum. And it goes back to another point, is just getting started. Just flip that switch, decide I'm going to make this a good thing, and get excited. And if you need that song, play that song. I've got a couple of them.
And it might be a playlist, it might be a genre. You might just recognize that if I play this, high BPM music where it's really fast, and it's going really intense, that I get really motivated. Maybe it's heavy metal, maybe it's really energized kind of pop music, maybe it's jazz, or kind of upscale jazz. If you just notice what works and you use it in that situation. You set the atmosphere, you set the environment, and there's really a lot to be said for environmental factors when we put them to our benefit instead of against us. Like Brandi and I and those who worked with us, we noticed that working in that space where we had no windows, you weren't allowed to call one area actually your own. You're technically supposed to migrate across all these different workstations into one building, so no space was really truly sacred, was truly yours. There was never any kind of like positive music or sound. You felt this kind of suffocating, like you need to be quiet, unless you're on a call or something, and even then you need to like keep your voice to a certain level. There's just always this claustrophobic feeling, and just the dull fluorescent lighting overhead, office cheap lighting overhead. It just set this atmosphere of drudgery and just, is it night or is it day? What's going on with life? No color, nothing happy about the environment that you're in. It just takes and sucks sort of the air out of the room. And it made it very hard to have a positive attitude, when you're in there for long stretches of time. And
you're dealing with cranky people.
So we can do a lot to impact our mood and impact our, how easy of a time we're having with whatever our task, and how much we're able to enjoy life by just paying attention, being mindful of how we set up our environment. Music is just one of the many ways that we can make an intentional choice to have something going on in the background, or have something that we're intentionally paying, attention to for a moment, to get ourselves in a certain mood so that we can go forward.
Thank you for joining us where the heart is heard.
Partnership Vision Ministries. Stay driven by love,
so you can wreck all the fear. You can check us out on Instagram at Partnership Vision Ministries,
or on Facebook on Partnership Vision Ministries page,
and even Twitter at PVisionM. Y'all come back now, you hear?